Gloom and doom has arrived for parts of the Northeast and Northern Mid-Atlantic states. We have severe weather over parts of the Ohio Valley and the lower Great Lakes. We'll talk about the prospects for that and where we're going over the next couple of days and heading into a weekend, which hopefully will be better. And, well, we're always better here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which is brought to you by Tempest by Weatherflow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. Tempest is an affiliate of the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. The link to Tempest is on the descriptor to this podcast. And if you purchase the weather station, which I must say is all it takes you all of 5 minutes to put together, if that, when you run it right off your mobile device. If you purchase this or anything else from the Tempest website, use the coupon code Winter2324 because if you don't, you won't get
10% off.
right. In other
If you
words, if
if
you
you
do, you will
get
get
10% off.
right.
Yes.
Okay. So there you go. All right, how was your day?
Oh, I wish I could say boring. Those of you in the tri-state area with an interest in space and astronomy, probably the biggest gathering of professional and amateur astronomers will be taking place this weekend at the Rockland Community College called NEAF, Northeast Astronomy Forum. And a couple of days ago, the guy who runs it, or one of the people who run it, contacted me and said, we just had a shuffling of the schedules. Somebody dropped out. Could you do a talk on the recent solar eclipse? And so for the last day or so, I have been putting all kinds of slides and visuals together, trying to come up with some kind of a decent or reasonable type of presentation, which I will present on Sunday. So that's how my day went. I'm pretty much been down here now for 8 or 9 hours putting all of that together, but I'm thankful that it is pretty much done. And but anyway,
Well,
no,
if you
no,
do,
no, Vincent Croce, no library again. There's nothing to do with the libraries. This will be at the. This will be on Sunday. Actually, it's a whole weekend, but on Sunday is when I'm giving a talk live and in person at 1:30 in front of a huge gathering or a small gathering, or maybe only one or two people. I don't know, at
you-
the Rockland Community College.
well,
In,
you obviously, in order to do this, had to cancel your speaking engagement before the Wednesday afternoon Fine Arts League, or as they are more commonly known as the Wednesday afternoon Fang and Claw Society.
yes, yeah. Oh dear. The thing one does when one has the ability to talk. In fact, I even said this morning to Renata, I said, aren't you glad that you're married to somebody who talks for a living and gets paid for it? And she went, "Hmm." But then I followed that up with, and you know the two most important words that I ever said in all these years, right? And she said, no, what? And I said, I do.
Right. And as soon as you say I do, there are so many things you don't. And never will again.
Oh dear me.
Oh, yes. Well, on that cheerful note, I went and got my hair done.
By the way, Renata, he said that, not I. I didn't say that. The guy over here said that.
Which one?
Well,
Wh-
there's only two of us, Joe.
No, no, no. Which of the
You.
which of the comments are we referring to? The most recent
Told you
one?
the comment that as soon as you say I do, then you
There's-
don't.
There are so many things you don't. That's so it's true. Welcome to everybody on the chat board tonight. And for those of you who are not on the chat board, but maybe perhaps at the marriage counselors, welcome to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast on this Wednesday night, the 17th of April. If you haven't filed your taxes, you're late. Subscribe to my YouTube. Well, you could just tell them that you were busy watching the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which is on Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. and the occasional Friday and Saturday. In case there's storms around, we will of course let you know. Um, those of you who haven't subscribed yet, here's your opportunity to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And make sure you turn the notifications on. Why, you ask? Well, this way you don't miss one of our wonderful shows because they're all wonderful. And of course, if you do like the show, you can always show your appreciation by hitting the like button. And we will thank you for that. Because Joe will do that if we get to 100 likes, and he'll ring the bell. So, anyway, Gloom and Doom has arrived.
It has. It's raining. What else is new?
All right. Well, at least you got a break. At least you got a break for a couple of days.
I guess.
Yeah,
Yes.
uh, it was kind of cloudy here most of the day. It actually got into the low 70s. I was able to go to the park and I walked almost 6 miles today, which I was very proud of that. And then went and got my hair cut. Now it started raining at about 3 o'clock this afternoon. And it's very, a couple of downpours that we had. But otherwise, it remains relatively cloudy here. And we don't have any severe weather risks for the Northeast or the Northern Mid-Atlantic states with this next system because we're not getting you're not getting warm sector.
And unfortunately, with that in mind, there's some good news and some bad news. The good news is that by not getting warm sectored, we will not get into the juicy air, which will set the stage possibly for thunderstorms or convection here. The bad news is that it may very well mean that we are not going to get out of the 40s tomorrow. It's going to be one of those really not just gloomy, but dreary, dank, ugly kind of chilly kind of raw kind of days here in the tri-state metropolitan area.
And then after that, we've got the weekend.
And the weekend doesn't look all that bad, does it?
No, it doesn't. And
Yes.
here, unfortunately, here in North Georgia and across the South, we've got uh, when your weather system goes by, the front's going to stall out, and we're probably going to get a couple of ripples of low pressure, particularly one over the weekend. So that's going to mean that we're probably going to be sitting in my own version of gloom and doom for a couple of days anyway. But I can't really complain too much because the last few days have been really really nice and sunny, breaking the 80-degree mark. Let me see, did my lily show up finally? Let me look at my photos. I forgot to check. Just give me a second. Uh, oh, fine. Hold on, folks.
What happened? Mrs. Bundy got screwed up in the works here? Or?
No, hang on a second. Let me see if it's in there. Uh, oh, yes, it is. Oh, it's not the best picture in the world. I can't really make it bigger, but my Asiatic lilies, Joe, bloomed, and here is what it looks like. So there it is. The first flower, well, actually, two flowers have opened up. One's on the outside, and the other one's on the inside. But I'm very happy with how my lilies are doing.
The
Not too
lilies of the
of
valley.
the valley, in the valley, way down yonder, over there. When she was just a little girl, she prayed her prince would come and get her, but the only prince she ever saw was her neighbor's Irish setter. That's it.
That's it.
That is it. All right.
It
And of course, the screen immediately went to black on that one. All right. Watches and warnings tonight. Not a whole lot. There's a whittling area. There's still a tornado watch up for eastern Ohio, western Pennsylvania, and northern West Virginia. And we've had various flood advisories and severe thunderstorm warnings. And there actually earlier today there were a couple of tornado warnings as this thing crossed the state of Ohio. But this is all that's left as far as severe weather is concerned tonight. And except for a couple of spots, we've got wind advisories in western North Dakota and also in northeastern Montana. A couple of winter weather advisories in northwestern Wyoming, and that's really about it. I mean, it's just in spite of the fact that we do have some weather going on, we do not have any big storms. And I don't know about you, but I was just sort of looking my way through the weekend on the long range. Um, I did not see uh, anything like as far as another any kind of major storm uh, down the road. I really didn't see anything.
I didn't. I did not either.
Okay, we'll go. We're on the same page. By the way, was Dr. Ruben Fairchild on the chat board? Is that's a joke, folks. Uh, uh, apparently, some volcano. I haven't been paying attention. Did a volcano blow?
I didn't hear of one.
He says ash reaching 63,000 feet. All right. Well, let's see if we can. Let me see if I can find anything here. It's all over Twitter, so let's see. Apparently, so let's take a look. Uh, Well, if you snow lovers have been waiting for this event, um,
I think it's the Indonesia Ruang volcano,
let's see.
and
Uh,
I don't know how this stands up against, let's say, some of the great volcanic eruptions of the past, like Pinatubo
uh,
or Chacon or whatever. We'll have to
well,
wait.
let's see. Should I take should I take an article from the Can't Be Serious Network, CBS, or the Nothing But Crap Network, which is NBC? Which would you like?
I don't know.
I
Toss a
do,
coin.
I don't have an ABC always bad and confusing uh, option here. Let's go to CBS. Uh, Days long eruption of Indonesia's Ruang. Is that how you say it? Ruang,
I guess
Ruang, forces
Ruang.
hundreds
Yes.
forces hundreds to evacuate as sky fills with red ash. Blah blah blah. Hundreds had the volcano seen filling the sky with red ash as the country's volcano monitoring agency, or the VMA, reports hundreds of deep volcanic earthquakes. Um, let's not really get into details here too
What I see
much.
here, where am I getting this from? I don't know where this is from. It does say preliminary reports on the volcanic explosivity index. I've never heard of that before, Joe, but then again, I'm not a geophysicist or into volcanic eruptions, but the volcanic explosivity index could exceed 4 or 5, which would place it in line with the Hunga Tonga eruption, the one that exploded underseas back in 2022, and which also had global impacts. So maybe this could have global impacts down the road with this tremendous eruption that took place again, supposedly just hours ago. The Ruang volcano is a stratovolcano with different chemical elements that could create different global impacts than the Tonga eruption. These impacts are not known as the eruption is still occurring. And the last time that this volcano erupted was back in 2022, which ranked on a VAI of 4 after it sent ash 17 miles up into the atmosphere.
Well,
So, with this eruption,
well, as I said, snow lovers must be hearing this tonight and probably dancing in the streets, thinking that this is going to make a difference, down the road for next winter. But hey, we don't know. Anka did what it did, so maybe it winds up lessening the impacts of that uh, uh, eruption of all that water vapor into the stratosphere. Now this is putting up ash, so how high does it get? What is it? What is this? Excuse me. Does it spread out across the northern hemisphere? I mean, who knows? You know. So we'll probably be hearing about this more in the coming days and weeks ahead. So anyway, back to normal weather, which is happening, or whatever weather is happening. We'll check out the satellite loop, and I shall give it a quick refresh here just to make sure we got the latest up to date. You can see the light. There's not a whole lot. There's a few little areas with lightning strikes going on. You see the thunderstorms in western Pennsylvania and now in southeastern Ohio, with numerous strikes going on there. And then there's another little batch of thunderstorms with some lightning strikes that seems to be diminishing as it moves out of Alabama into northwest Georgia. Got a little bit of action down uh, in the Rio Grande Valley. And that really is about it. Uh, excuse me. Clouds have rolled up. This giant arc. We were talking about this yesterday. You got this rotation that's moving across the Great Lakes, which is more reflective of the system aloft than the surface system, which is not all that strong. But nonetheless, it is moving along, and you're getting this sort of arm of clouds and rain that's moving through now. And there'll probably be more rain or showers later on tonight as we get some of the blow off from those thunderstorms that are moving through eastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania. I still don't think this is going to amount to that much in the way of rain.
Locally,
Yeah,
I was thinking about anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 inch tonight, but then tomorrow, under those leaden gray skies, the D and G, as Joe likes to refer to it as, the doom and gloom outlook, seems to be suggesting that we'll see just spotty, light precipitation, not amounting to all that much. So if we do get anything out of this tonight, it probably will be, Joe, with that line moving through tonight, which again might drop 1/4 to, in the worst case scenario, 1/2 inch, and then after that, just like dribble drabble for tomorrow night, and probably it looks like for Friday as well.
yeah. You've got that next front that's going to come through late Friday into Friday night. Probably some showers with that, and then we'll see how long it takes for all that stuff to get out of the way. On the radar tonight, I'm just going to give this a quick refresh. You can see the lead arm that runs from northern New York down into western New England and across Long Island. Then you've got some, little bands of showers to the west of that. And then you've got that one big band that is now crossing Lake Erie and bringing showers and storms into western Pennsylvania. We have at the moment, let's see, uh, we've got actually three severe thunderstorm warnings in Ohio and part in Ohio and Western PA and even in Northern West Virginia. They're going to expire shortly. So here we are at 7:53. So at 8 o'clock they're going to go, 8 p.m. And then there's one other in Ohio for Fairfield, Hocking, Pickaway, and Ross counties. That goes for till 8:30 Eastern time. So obviously, if you're watching the show on the replay, always remember that when we're talking about severe weather, that a lot of it's dated by the time you see it. So you want to get any additional information, particularly if it's affecting your neck of the woods. Be sure to go to weather.gov and go to your local National Weather Service office at weather.gov to see what's going on. And we've got showers going on in parts of South Carolina, southeast North Carolina, also in northeast North Carolina. Uh, but nothing crazy here. This is, other than where you've got a couple of heavier cells, it's mostly light stuff that goes back into Texas. We've got some showery rains and a couple of heavier downpours in central Nebraska, in Wyoming and Montana. It's mountain snow, valley rain, and it's really not amounting to all that much. Uh, SPC, SPC, as we check out the severe weather risk, we had a tornado. Hold on, or do we? Oh, yeah, there's that tornado watch that is still up for southeast Ohio and western Pennsylvania. That is inside an area of slight risk for severe weather. We also have a small area of slight risk in northeast Kansas and in western Missouri, and that looks like it includes Kansas City and Topeka. Marginal risk into Nebraska, a narrow band of marginal risk from the Rio Grande Valley northward up through north central Texas. And then as we look at tomorrow, we have an area of enhanced risk, Joe, in southern Illinois, Southwest Indiana, Western Kentucky, Northwest Tennessee, Southeast Missouri. That is a 5% tornado risk zone. Slight risk that goes all the way down back into Texas and a little bit further north into Indiana. Marginal risk pushing further north into Ohio, to just about to me in North Georgia, Eastern Tennessee, and then kind of goes back southward down into Southeast and South Texas. So that is that. This is for day two. And then when we get to day three, we're left with a small area of marginal risk across northern Alabama, northern Georgia, much of South and North Carolina. Obviously, you see through all of this in the Northeast and northern Mid-Atlantic states, we do not have any risk for severe weather over the next several days or longer. Okay, this is just all being confined to areas that are not having to deal with a marine flow. And a marine flow, Joe, is always a thunderstorm killer, especially in the spring.
It's a seasonal thing, ladies and gentlemen.
That it is. Um, WPC, I don't know if you're aware of this, but WPC had a note on their website today. It says, due to technical difficulties, outdated versions of some of our products are being displayed. We are actively working to restore service. Okay. So,
Well, I
as
saw that on the QPF, for example, that seems to be one of the things that is not being affected because the valid times or the times when those forecasts were created were pretty recent. But if you see something that was created 2 days ago, don't use it. You're likely to get into trouble.
yes, it looks like the day 5, 6, and 7 maps are not, and also the day 4 maps are not working. So days 4, 5, 6, and 7 are not, are back from Monday, but days 1, 2, and 3 are working. So if we do the 3-day summary, this is from tonight into Sunday, a quarter to a half inch. Actually, SBC kind of scaled back, so they had a half to 3/4 the last couple of days. Now they just have a quarter to a half, which we're pretty much in line with that. Much less if you go up north into eastern and northern New England. We're talking about less than a tenth of an inch there, because a lot of this rain is just going to be confined to areas from, let's say, southeastern Massachusetts, west and south to about southern New Jersey, northern Delaware, northern Maryland. So if you're inside, in between those two areas I just mentioned, you're the ones that are going to see rain out of this. If you're further south, there really isn't much going on over the next 3 days in Virginia. Picks up a little bit in North Carolina. Heavier amounts from central Texas northeastward across Arkansas into Tennessee and northern Mississippi, Alabama, and then up northwestward through Missouri and southern Illinois. We're looking at 3/4 of an inch to some areas picking up as much as an inch and a half. Much of the northern plains, a little bit of precip in the northern Rockies. Otherwise, much of the west, we're talking about hundredths of an inch of liquid. And except for the highest, the higher mountaintops, snow is really not an issue here going forward. All right, let's take a look at the GFS. And I don't know, I'm just kind of looking at this in terms of the overall upper air pattern going ahead. And it's a little blocky. There was a blocking high that's going to be building over Greenland sometime next week, and that forces a vortex down into eastern Canada. So I think that says that it's probably going to be on the coolish side in the eastern part of the United States, at least through the first half of next week. But then after that, it kind of lifts up. And I mean, there's some troughing off the East Coast, but nothing to write home about. There's more energy that comes into the West. So I don't really see this. It gets chilly, but I don't think it's going to last very long. Over time, we actually, get to the last days of the month, we start to get some ridging in the eastern part of the United States. So I'm not really overly concerned about anything major. It's going to be minor systems moving ahead.
And we like minor. And I mentioned the last couple of days, the Climate Prediction Center has been pretty much suggesting after we get the last of this precipitation out of our area, and that would probably mean the the last of that sprinkly stuff for Friday night out, that we could go into a period of more than a couple of days of dry conditions, which we really could use Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We may not see anything until the next frontal line approaches, and that won't be until the middle of next week. So we may have a protracted spell of dry weather, which again we have not been able to do too much of or put too much together in recent days or even recent weeks coming our way again after the last drops fall here late Friday or Friday night.
Now, on the temperature anomalies, what you're seeing here for tomorrow, this area of below normal temperatures, that's because it's onshore flow and it's rain. And it's not really a chilly air mass. But by contrast, you see this big area of below normal temperatures in the plains and Rockies extending up into Canada. That is due to colder Canadian air. Cold, we'll put in quotes, moving southeast word in the United States. And as we move forward, gradually that colder than normal air is going to spread into the east over the weekend, and it'll probably carry us into next week. And you see another to the north coming down from Hudson Bay. That's that deep upper low that starts out in the North Pole and gets down into Hudson Bay, but it doesn't go all the way south, Joe. It cuts off around probably halfway down in Canada before it starts to swing eastward, which is why that cold air really doesn't get, unlike last week where we had some runs of the model showing a fairly deep trough in the eastern part of the United States. The models have really kind of backed away from this. Is it cooler than normal? Yes. Is it going to be exceptionally cool or downright cold? I don't think so. I mean, it's just going to be chilly for this time of year.
Now, you talking about tomorrow?
No, no. Tomorrow's that's onshore flow.
Right.
Okay, that's onshore flow and the rain. I'm talking about beginning later on Saturday as this colder Canadian air that spreads into the plains and moves eastward. We go into this stretch of below normal temperatures. It's next week's got this deep upper low that drops down into Hudson Bay, but it doesn't come down into New England or upstate New York. That upper low stays up in Canada. And so the coldest of, the really cold air, quote unquote, is going to stay up there, but it is just going to mean that we'll probably be chillier than normal through, let's see, probably through at least Thursday of next week before, and maybe even into Friday, before we start to get into some slightly warmer air that comes toward the last days of the month, although we're sort of on the edge of this. But a few people were talking about, some, anomalous cold coming down, and the GFS doing yesterday with that, what was it, 30 inches or 40 inches of snow in southeastern New England, which was, one of the funnier maps that among the funniest maps we've seen in the last couple of months. It's amazing. Everyone's, and there's always at least a couple of people that grab onto that sort of thing. But no, this is some chillier air, but I really I'm not impressed by,
You think John? You think John Bolaris, if he was still working for NBC, would have, called up the corporate people and said, "Hey, the storm of the biggest storm we've ever seen in the month of April in terms of snow is coming our way at the end of the month. I need to interrupt network broadcasting to break in and tell everybody about that."
I'm thinking no. I'm thinking no. All right, so here's this low in the northern Great Lakes. You've got the front with that kind of extends down. It's sort of a it's kind of a dying front in a way, and there's a little bit of a wave that develops uh, off the Delaware coast. There's like a broad closed isobar there, so it makes for showery rains tomorrow. You also could see here's the next one, and this is going to be racing to the northeast, and that's going to bring a cold front through Friday night, and you see it there. So the first low drops out. It's going to be hard to clear things out on Friday, Joe, because the flow is still kind of onshore-ish. Then you get the front. Maybe you get a shower, maybe you don't. The 18Z run doesn't really show very much. I would throw in the chance for a few scattered showers, probably late Friday into Friday night, and assuming everything moves along and behaves itself. Although there is another upper trough that's going to swing through during the day Saturday, so you might want to throw in, especially inland of the coast, you might want to throw in the chance for a couple of scattered showers on Saturday. But other than that, Sunday looks like the better of the two weekend days. And we do have California energy that responds by forming a low down in the Gulf states, but this one is flat. It goes out straight to the east, brings some rain across the Gulf states and the deep south over the weekend, and low pressure moves go straight east. So I don't see a problem with that. So Monday looks dry, Tuesday looks dry, maybe a couple of showers with the front on Wednesday. And then after that, it's just kind of chilly and dry for the rest of next week and maybe even into the following weekend. So look, it's great news. No big storms, no 5-inch rainfalls in 24 hours, no flood watches, no coastal flooding, no high wind warnings, no wind advisories. After weeks of dealing with system after system after system and rainfalls that have put us on an incredible pace for precipitation uh, for the year, let alone just for the season, it's nice that we're getting a break in this stormy pattern that we've been in.
And just to give you people an idea of the tremendous contrasts that we're looking at in terms of temperature these coming days ahead, tomorrow, and I do not underscore more the fact that tomorrow is going to be one of those really rotten, miserable days. I'm looking, Joe, tomorrow. It's not just that we're not going to make it above 50. I mean, we're talking about temperatures tomorrow that could be in the mid and low 40s for high temperatures with clouds and with spotty light drizzle or mist or precipitation. And yet, at the same time, out in the nation's midsection, the Central Plains, well, actually right straight through the middle of the nation, in the days to come, we're going to be seeing there's like an 80% chance of above normal temperatures. They're really going to warm up in the central part of the nation in the days to come. Quite a contrast to what we're going to see here tomorrow with, again, the exceptionally chilly conditions, damp and chilly conditions that will be occurring in and around the tri-state region. It's hard to believe. Monday and Tuesday was gorgeous. We had temperatures in the low 70s, some mid 70s, beautiful blue sky, lots of sunshine. And now the antithesis, there's a $5 word for you, of all of that coming our way for tomorrow. Yeah, I'm beginning to believe in the gloom and doom. Joe, you ought to trademark that term. It's going to be a Chiaffi gloom and doom day tomorrow.
There are lots of things I should have trademarked.
Yes.
You know, there were lots of things like that that I used that I was later told not to. I was not allowed to use. That's
Yes.
it. That's all going to be in. That's all going to be in the book.
Double nickels.
Yes, double nickels, boxcars for 66.
Yep.
You know, a, l- uh, a little Joe.
Yeah. I know the bag of gas did not appreciate it.
No, the bag of gas did not. No, not at all. No, 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 no,
Actually
no.
going so far as to go and complain to the powers that be about your delivery and your use of such unmeteorological
Well, it's
terms,
it's it's
which really,
always
which
it's
really
all.
totally spiced up the weathercast.
Well, thank you. Yes, I thought so, and apparently other people did too. But um, but when you spend much of your time in the workplace with your head up somebody's rear end, this is sort of what happens. I was collateral damage, let's put it that way. But
Whatever.
again, it'll all be in the book. And
Yes.
meanwhile, we do have Briller Jeopardy.
And here it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
By the
It's a
way, for those of you who've been watching Jeopardy, there's this young lady who won her fifth consecutive game today. And she really, Joe, is like she's the complete package. I mean, she's very nice, she's attractive, but she's incredibly smart, and she's left all of her opponents in their dust these last 5 days. She's already accrued something like $120,000. I think we're going to be seeing her for a long time. Now that I said that, of course, tomorrow night she'll probably get eliminated, but
Well, Jeopardy here is on at the same time when they do 7 hours of Perry Mason back to back. So,
yes.
um, in fact, uh, just as the show started here, it was halfway through the case of the crying cherub. which is actually one of my favorite episodes.
Oh,
But
is Victor Buono in that one?
no, no, um, not at all. No. All right, let's do Briller Jeopardy here. Uh, okay, so it's the same theme as last night. The average high temperature for April in these selected cities, and we will begin tonight with Honolulu.
Honolulu.
Right, the average high for Honolulu in the month of April.
Um, well, the average high temperature in Honolulu, I'll say, I'll say 81.
That's a good guess, and it's close. Norm Roberts and Reuben Fairchild have already nailed it at 83. 83 is Honolulu. Now, the next one is I'm going to put the Las Vegas. Las Vegas,
Lost wages, you mean?
either way. Las Vegas. Guesses
Uh,
are coming in.
is that true? Is that right
Waiting,
outside?
waiting for Rayo. Guesses coming in.
Is that right outside Mo Green's
I don't
play?
know. I don't.
No.
I don't know exactly. Up
How
Northern
about
Grace and go ahead.
how about how about 80?
Oh, so close, Joe. So close.
So close.
Northern
Far.
Grace and Norm Roberts nail it with 79. 79. Actually,
Ah,
most of the guesses were pretty good. They were all in a fairly tight range. Okay, so now we have uh, Minneapolis.
all right. So what would Gordy the weatherman say?
Minneapolis. Minnesota.
Minneapolis. How about 57?
And you join Patrick Darcy and J. Justin B. and Northern Grace, who hit it at 57. And there you go. Ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Um, okay, next is, well, New York City.
Oh, geez, I should know that, right?
You should.
You should know it too, Joe. I mean, you've been here
I
for a long.
do.
Yes. Um. How about 60?
Very close. A little low, but very close. James Davidson, John Melander, and let's see, anybody else? Oh, and Dr. Reuben Fairchild, getting it at winner of the famous Reuben Fairchild Humanitarian Award, um, 62.
No. Okay.
62. And the last one before the bonus, um, I don't know, Ruben. I don't know why I'm calling you Dr. Reuben Fairchild. It just kind of goes, you know. I mean, I can't call you Senator Reuben Fairchild, President Reuben Fairchild. Um, you know,
What's Reuben Fairchild's middle name?
podiatrist Reuben Fairchild. I don't know. I don't know, Joe. I have no idea. Um,
And
New
it's like
Orleans. Yes, Monsignor Reuben Fairchild. That's a good one, Rich Rothansky. I like that one. Bishop Bishop Reuben Fairchild. New Orleans. New Orleans. Louis. I'm just teasing. Okay. I'm just teasing. New Orleans. New Orleans.
this New Orleans. I think
No,
I'll stick.
it's not New Orleans. It's New Orleans.
Well, I'm pronouncing it the way Bugs Bunny did in that
Yeah.
cartoon with the.
Well, don't. New
Uh,
Orleans people. New
I think
Orleans people are
I
very
think I'll stick
sensitive about
around.
that. It's
I think I'll stick.
Orleans Parish, but it's New Orleans.
I think I'll stay. I think I'll stick around for the Matty Grass.
Yeah, the Matty Grass. Yes, exactly.
How about 80?
Oh God. So close. Oh, so close. J. Justin B. and Patrick Darcy, who's on a roll tonight. Um, they got it at 79. Wikipedia says Ruben Art Vandelay Fairchild. Oh, that's her. That is perfect. That is
Robot
perfect.
Art Vandeline
Right,
Fair.
right. King of the Britons, defeater of the Saxons, sovereign of all England. That's a good one. That is very good. And International Falls, Minnesota
Oh, give me a
is
freaking break.
is the last one.
I
By the
don't
way,
know
I don't know if you know this. I was really I don't know why, but I got curious about it. Um, you know that part of Minnesota that looks like a little, you know, little finger or a box that extends out in the northern part of the state.
what do they
Okay.
call it, the or whatever. I don't.
Yeah, it's I was reading about that whole area. You have to there's a big lake in there, and there's a small town on the other side of the lake. I forget the name, but the only way to get to it is by boat. And if you want to get to it by car, you have to drive all the way, you have to drive into Canada and drive up and around. So you have to go, you have to go through customs twice, going into Canada, then back into the United States, and then the same thing, coming back down the other way. But there's actually, it's like a big vacation spot. I forgot what they call it, but that anyway, Google it. You'll read about it. It's kind of interesting. International Falls, Minnesota, people.
How about 49?
You know what? That is actually a very, very good guess. And we've got a number of people here at 50. Joe Z, Maggie P, Patrick Darcy, Lou Arizio, all at 50. Tyler Fiengas at 54. Vincent Croce, 55. Bella Lugrissi at 50. Um, and Frank R at 52. The answer is sandwiched in between. 51.
Wow.
51 for International Falls, Minnesota. So there. All right. I have an early day tomorrow. I have an appointment to see Dr. Bombay, so we're gonna
Prime Minister Reuben Fairchild.
what? That's
What is these names up on the fly?
yeah, Prime Minister Reuben Fairchild. I like that.
All right.
Okay. The Joe. Now we never can say you can't say we don't have fun here. The Joe and
Yes.
Joe Weather Show podcast brought to you by Tempest by Weatherflow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system van delay. And join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link is on the description to this podcast. Use the coupon code winter2324. If you do, you will get
10% off.
all right. So back tomorrow night to finish off the week. And everybody have a great night. Thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you later, folks. Wah, wah.